Dear learners, greeting. Today the topic for today's presentation is fieldwork practicum with individual, family, and community. I am Dr. Seema Rani from the School of Social Work, Assistant Professor, and the course name is Social Work Practicum and Supervision. The course code is MSW 005 and the program is Master of Social Work. So before starting, I would like to clear the highlights of this topic. The highlights will be covered: introduction to fieldwork practicum, objective of fieldwork, fieldwork with individuals, fieldwork with family, fieldwork in communities, guidelines for social workers, skills for social workers, and conclusion. So, learners, as we all know that fieldwork practicum forms an important component of social work courses, as it provides an opportunity for the students to practice social work skills. The students get an exposure to the problem and needs prevailing in each settings, and the training equips him or her to handle those problems with necessary skills. So learners, as we all of know that fieldwork practicum is an important component of social work profession. Without fieldwork components, we cannot say that social work profession is complete, and without the fieldwork practicum experience, we cannot complete our social work course. Because whatever we learn, whatever as students they are taught in the classroom as a theoretical aspect, they need to apply in the field. So until unless there will be fieldwork components in the social work practicum, there will be no use of theoretical theories and their application in the field. So there is a necessity to provide opportunities for students to apply the knowledge acquired in the classroom. As I have discussed earlier, whatever we teach in classroom, whatever students learn in the classroom as a theory, as a theoretical understanding, they need to apply it in the field. So it is only by doing that the students can comprehend the nuances of working with clients. When the students learn in the class, like for example, if we take the example of social work methods like group work, case work, community organization, social work research. So we only understand the theoretical aspect of casework in the class. When we go in the field, we directly come to meet the clients and apply the casework process, apply the casework method in the field. So only doing that process in field, we can say that fieldwork knowledge is being applied. It may have seemed abstract while learning about skills and values in the classroom, and this can only be clarified when put into practice. सो अगर हम इसको एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे देखें, अगर हम क्लास में ही सिर्फ अपने सोशल वर्क के मेथड्स को पढ़ रहे हैं तो इट मे सीम्स एब्स्ट्रैक्ट अंटिल अनलेस वी अप्लाई दीज नॉलेज इन द फील्ड. सो वट एवर द स्टूडेंट्स इज लर्निंग इन द क्लासरूम, that should be applied in the field. So that is the main component of social work, fieldwork practicum. So social work practicum, it is also called fieldwork practicum. So social work practicum helps students deal with administrative, legal and communications issues. Practicum gives an opportunity to work with supervision, intake and case recording and reporting. It is an integral part of the social work curriculum at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. So you might be aware about that the social work is being taught at graduate and postgraduate level. So now as the topic suggests, fieldwork with individuals. Social casework is understood. Like when we talk about fieldwork with individual, it is meant by like social workers in the field, works at three level: micro level, meso level and macro level. So when we talk about field work with individual, it is the smallest one unit, which is called micro unit, and when working with individual, social case work is the process. When we work with individual, the social case work is the process which we apply with the individual. Social case work is understood as an approach to help individual in a systematic manner based on knowledge of human behavior and various test approach. So Helen Harris Perlman tries to understand. She is the author of casework, and she tries to understand this process of working with individuals in terms of a person. In social casework, when we say client, client is called person, and person with a problem who comes to an agency. The agencies are like there are many agencies which are working in the society to help the needy persons. So they can be there can be many organizations who are working with the women, with the children, with the adults and group, and rag pickers children. So there are many organizations who are working, who comes to an agency with where the help he or she seeks is rendered. So if a person with problem comes to an agency, so the casework process will be followed with that person who is in need of help. She was thus able to delineate the 4 basis component of casework. She has further explained the 4 component of casework, like person, problem, place and process. Field experiences related to helping individuals. So these components are basically person, problem, place and process. So when we say fieldwork with individual, field experiences related to helping individual would primarily involve placing the student in the place. When we say the first thing, person, people, person, place and problem. So for when the students is placed in an organization, placed in an agencies, then we say that we are following the first component. We are using the first component of casework, like which is place, which is an agency where the student as social worker learns the entire process of working with the individual. So the place is agency, person who is client in the agency. So casework as a method of field work. नो सॉरी, यहाँ मिसप्रिंट एक हो गया. यहाँ पे केस वर्क एज ए मेथड ऑफ सोशल वर्क है. ये केस वर्क एज एन आर्ट इन विच नॉलेज ऑफ द साइंस ऑफ ह्यूमन रिलेशंस एंड द स्किल्स इन रिलेशनशिप आर यूज्ड to mobilize capacities in the individual and the resources in the community appropriate for better adjustment between the client and all or part of his environment. This view clearly established the requirements in terms of field experiences for students' casework practice. So, it becomes a basic necessity to prepare the students with sound theoretical inputs before placing him or her in the field. This can enable the students to be prepared to carry out casework with client in actual problem situation. So before going into the field, the student must know about the casework theory, casework process, casework component. Each and everything he or she should be well aware of, so that he can, after going to the agency, he can completely understand the process of casework, how to work with individual, how to work with clients. The role of fieldwork supervisor is crucial over here, because you might be aware about the role of supervisor. When the students is placed in the field, there is a two supervisor. One is from agency side and one is from from the institution side. The supervisor is entirely supposed to make the learners or students understand the fieldwork process, how to do fieldwork, how to go in the field, how to build rapport, how to be familiar with the agency. So this is the role of supervisor. There are many responsibilities of supervisor which you may further study. It the role of supervisor is also in providing the student with experiences in using casework concept, component, principles and techniques. Learners, there are principles also in casework. So these principles are also need to be followed by the social work student. Social work, the supervisor also helping in enabling the students to develop his concept of professional self and its differential use. When we say professional self, means the students is supposed to follow proper code of ethics and professional ethics in the field. For example, the principle of social work, the principle of case work, So he or she should be aware of. A student considering fieldwork placement should accept personal strength, weakness, and emotion that could help or impede fieldwork. When we say personal strength, weakness, and emotions that could help or impede fieldwork, we mean to understand this like sometimes the students are good enough in communication, sometimes they are not very good in communication, so they need to clearly focus on their strength and weakness and emotion. When we say emotion, they should be able to control their emotion. There is a principle in social work and there is a principle in casework also, control emotional involvement. For example, if the student is going in the field, अगर कोई सोशल वर्क का स्टूडेंट्स अगर फील्ड में जा रहा है और मान लो वो किसी ऐसी डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एजेंसी में जा रहा है जहाँ पे डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के केस जो डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस से ग्रस्त जो महिलाएं आती है और मान लो वो उसके सामने रो पड़ती है, तो ऐसा ना हो कि जो सोशल वर्क स्टूडेंट्स है वो भी भावनाओं में बहकर उनके साथ रोने लग जाए. नहीं, उनको अपने इमोशंस कंट्रोल करने आने चाहिए. और दिस इज कॉल्ड द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सोशल वर्क, कंट्रोल इमोशनल इन्वॉल्वमेंट. So the student of social work should be aware of these strength, weakness, and emotions. The concerned faculty, here with concerned faculty we mean to say supervisor, has to reorient the student with the concept, process, and techniques before the intake of clients. Like when the student is going in the agency, the first process of casework is intake. Intake means whoever the clients are coming in the agency, they have to start the process with intake, means taking all the information about the clients. But before this, the student must be aware about the complete process of casework, the techniques, how to take the clients, how to gather information about the clients. So these all information should be clear to the students. Individual and group conferences help in the minutes planning of each session by the students. So here, like in fieldwork component, there is a provision of conducting individual and group conferences. So conducting individual conference means when students meets with their supervisor and whatever queries, whatever difficulties they are facing in the agency, they can discuss with their supervisor. And based on that discussion, the supervisor suggests them for working further in the field, how they can tackle their problem, how to interact with the client, how to be familiar with the agency. So there is a discussion between supervisor and supervisee. And group conference, there is a concept of group conference also in fieldwork practicum. Group conference, when for example, some students are placed in agencies, some students are placed in open community. They might have faced some issues in the community, so they can prepare a presentation based on their problem, and they present in the group. So in that group, all respective teachers and students will be suggesting the way forward, means whatever way they can use to sort out their problem. So in group discussion also their problem can be sorted out. So person, as we discussed earlier, the component of casework is person. It is usually the practice that the agency as a place, personnel themselves allot cases to students. I have already discussed about it. Intake process to gather all the information required about person. Skill learned, here the learners and students skills, what they learn in the intake process, professional relationship with the client, as I have discussed. Like first and foremost responsibility of a social work student as a case worker is to build rapport formation with the client, not only with the client but with the agency also. Rapport building, conducting interviews, information about the client, and review it with the agency staff for a proper interpretation of the client situation. Once as a intake process, if the student or social worker is coming to meet the client or a person, First of all, he tried to understand the whole situation of a client, and after gathering all the information, he may clarify with the staff, because agency is the only source where he or she, social worker students, can clarify the situation of client. Understanding of socio-economic and cultural millennia of the clients. The social worker also try to understand what if the client is having problem, what are the socio-cultural factors of that problem, and cultural factors also. The student has to discuss the detail of the case with agency personnel as well as the faculty supervisor to understand all the facts of the cases. The subtlety and sensitivity of accessing the case has to be developed by the students. Proper diagnosis is at the heart of the casework practice. Fieldwork should help in understanding the variation in seemingly similar situation and learn not to view situation as stereotypes. Here, with the process of diagnosis, means this is the process of casework. When once the person intake process is done, then diagnosis. Based on all the information, we as a social worker, with the help of agency, the social worker try to actually diagnose what is the cause of problem, what is the actual problem is. So here the social worker should be free from all preconceived notion, and he or she should not have stereotypes about the problem. So clearly he or she try to understand the problem. So treatment phase. Students go to the field with the knowledge that treatment goals generally falls in four categories. For example, like treatment is based on four component, that is curative, rehabilitative, preventive, promotional. Curative means, for example, we have to once we have diagnosed something, like if it is related to the health and we have diagnosed some health related issue, then we focus on curative aspect. What can be the curative aspect? For that we try to understand the cure for that particular health issues. Then rehabilitative. Rehabilitate, we have to once it is diagnosed and we have found a cure for that, then how to rehabilitate a person. Then preventive, further that health issues don't occur, so we need to find the solution for preventive, so that we can prevent. For example, in corona, like what we did, like we found a cure, like there is no particular cure, but we found the corona vaccine for that. Then we started rehabilitate the people who are suffering, who have been suffered and affected with corona. Then we follow the procedure preventive, how we can prevent ourselves from corona. Then promotional, like how to promote the preventive approach, like we have to promote that so that people cannot further get this disease. The students are expected to modify the environment. Here the role of social work comes into play, that students as a social worker, as a case worker, they need to modify the environment. Why we say environment? Because the client is not only limited to the agencies or limited to the organization where he or she is coming for the help, but he is also surrounded by his or her environment, how his family is, how his family is behaving, how his environment is supporting, how other social system are supporting him. So that him or her, these environmental factors are also need to be properly studied and taken into consideration while providing help to the client. Both social and physical, which is precipitating the client situation. As I have already discussed, that there is a ecological system we call. Why do we always talk about ecological perspective in social work? Because the client and even the person is not only limited to him or herself, but there is a system which is responsible for his or her problem, situation, etc. The student has to strengthen the client's capacities. So in that case, when the client is in a problem, it becomes the responsibility of social worker students to build the capacities. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मान लो हम अडोलेसेंट किसी ग्रुप के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, तो अडोलेसेंट इश्यूज हमारे स्टूडेंट्स या फिर किसी ग्रुप के साथ काम करें, तो वी कम अक्रॉस वेरियस अडोलेसेंट इश्यूज. तो इन दैट केस एक एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं, जैसे किसी लड़की को मान लो फर्स्ट टाइम मेंस्ट्रुएशन स्टार्ट हुए हैं, तो शी मे फील नर्वस, एंजाइटी एंड ऑल दिस थिंग, एंड शी माइट नॉट बी अवेयर अबाउट द मेंस्ट्रुएशन ऑल्सो. सो हियर जो सोशल वर्कर होगा उसका एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ये होगा कि एक रेपो बिल्ड करेगा, एक अच्छा कम्युनिकेशन उसके साथ करेगा और उसकी कैपेसिटी बिल्ड करेगा. ही उसको ये समझाने की कोशिश करेगा कि दिस इज नॉट समथिंग इन नेचुरल विच इज हैपनिंग विद यू, इट इज समथिंग नेचुरल. उसकी कैपेसिटी बिल्ड करेगा कि आप अपने आप को इसमें स्ट्रॉन्ग बनाइए, दिस इज समथिंग गुड फॉर योर हेल्थ. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग. हम महिलाओं के लिए अक्सर कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग की बात करते हैं, वीमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात करते हैं. वर्क टुवर्ड्स मॉडिफाइंग एग्जिस्टिंग एटीट्यूड. एग्जिस्टिंग एटीट्यूड क्या, जैसे मैंने मेंस्ट्रुएशन की बात की, वीमेंस की बात की, तो उनके लिए जो एग्जिस्टिंग एटीट्यूड्स हैं, मतलब कि अगर रूरल एरियाज़ में देखो तो मेंस्ट्रुएशन हुआ और वीमेंस की जो सिचुएशन होती है उनको अच्छा नहीं समझा जाता और उनको मतलब कि दयनीय स्थिति से देखा जाता है. तो यहाँ पे सोशल वर्कर उनके एटीट्यूड को चेंज करने में एक सहायक भूमिका निभा सकते हैं. एग्जिस्टिंग एटीट्यूड, बिलीव्स एंड वैल्यूज. द फोकस कैन ऑल्सो बी इमोशनल वेलबींग ऑफ द क्लाइंट ऑल्सो, एज आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस, लाइक दे आर इमोशनल ऑल्सो. सो इमोशनल वेलबींग, to take care of emotional well-being also become the responsibility of social worker. Then evaluation. After the intervention phase, the student have to terminate the case. Means once we have taken the case, we have started the process of intake, diagnosis and treatment. So after all, the intervention phase come into play. Client follow up the essential to evaluate the casework intervention. Thus, this stage will prove very beneficial for the learners. Assessing the various skills, techniques and principles can help students to rectify their misconception. So, learners, here skills requirements for social case worker. It's not like कि डायरेक्टली आप फील्ड में जाके आप नॉलेज गेन करके सोशल केस वर्क के बारे में, सोशल वर्क के बारे में, क्लाइंट के बारे में, कंपोनेंट के बारे में आप डायरेक्टली वर्क स्टार्ट करना शुरू कर देते हो. नहीं, एक सोशल वर्कर को, एक केस वर्कर को कुछ स्किल्स होती हैं जो उसमें इनबिल्ट होनी चाहिए, इनबिल्ट नहीं, उसको सीखनी चाहिए और जो उसको ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए जब हम फील्ड में काम करते हैं. स्किल्स इन बिल्डिंग रिलेशनशिप. जैसा कि मैंने पहले भी डिस्कस किया कि बिल्डिंग रिलेशनशिप मतलब एक अच्छा, आप किसी भी एजेंसी में अगर आप काम कर रहे हैं, आप किसी कम्युनिटी में काम कर रहे हैं, तो यू शुड बी एबल टू बिल्ड अ गुड रेपो विद द एजेंसीज एंड इफ यू आर वर्किंग इन अ कम्युनिटी, तो यू शुड बी एबल टू बिल्ड a good rapport with the community people. The entire process of case work is carried out through the professional relationship. और हम कह रहे हैं कि हम इंडिविजुअल के साथ बात करते हैं, एक पर्सन के साथ बात करें, तो until unless we will be having good rapport with the client, good interaction with the client, so we will not be able to meet out the our goals of case work, because until आफ्टर ऑल हमें उसकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी है. तो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने से पहले हम उससे एक अच्छा रिलेशन स्थापित करेंगे, अच्छे से बात करेंगे, ताकि वो खुल के हमें अपनी प्रॉब्लम सारी बता सके और वो कंफर्ट फील कर सके. और बेस्ड ऑन दैट रेपो बिल्डिंग वी फर्दर प्लान आवर स्ट्रेटेजी टू वर्क विद द क्लाइंट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर हम बच्चों के साथ जब काम करते हैं मालूम, तो हम सबसे पहले बच्चों के साथ घुलते मिलते हैं, एक अच्छा रिलेशन बिल्ड करते हैं. एक देयर इज अ प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सोशल वर्क मूविंग एट द पेस ऑफ क्लाइंट. लाइक अगर हम बच्चे के साथ काम कर सकते हैं और हम बच्चे का लेवल ये है और हमारा लेवल ये है, तो हम अपने लेवल से उसके साथ इंटरेक्ट नहीं करेंगे. हम नहीं चाहेंगे कि जो हम उसको फोर्स नहीं करेंगे किसी चीज़ के लिए. बच्चे का जो लेवल हम उसके पेस के अकॉर्डिंग मूव करते हैं, तभी वो बच्चा हमारे साथ घुले मिलेगा, अपनी बात बताएगा, है ना, उसके साथ हम इंटरेक्ट करते हैं. स्किल्स इन एक्सप्लोरिंग प्रॉब्लम्स, स्किल्स इन लोकेटिंग एंड एक्सेसिंग रिसोर्सेज, स्किल्स इन एस्टेब्लिशिंग the treatment alternatives. Now, fieldwork practicum with family. The social worker also have to work with the family in problems. This is nowadays gaining a lot of importance, and the families are going through a stage of transition while meeting the changing demands of the present day society. This in turn is leading to a lot of problem in raising children, relationship of married couples, balancing multiple roles, nuclear family, etc. Family therapy is a type of group therapy that helps families deal with problems in communication, behavior, emotion, and relationship. So when we talk about social fieldwork practicum in families, so there are problems in families, and nowadays family social work is also gaining a lot of is also considered very important to work with, and family therapy is the way to work with family. The objective of family to fieldwork practicum with families, the important objective of family social work is to help families learn to function more efficiently while meeting the developmental and emotional needs of all the members. So this is also called micro social work. When we work with the family, it is called micro social work practicum with individuals and family. This requires system theory knowledge and development of skills and techniques. Skill required in this area to explore the problem, feelings, goals, setting, termination, and application of appropriate treatment. Critical thinking or conceptual understanding required social work practicum, and supervision to integrate theories and treatment strategies is sharpened during fieldwork. So guideline for social workers here while working with the family is collecting and identifying information, assessing the client needs, understanding the stages of family life cycles. It provides an opportunity to the students to understand the stages of a family is going through and its related problem. This will help the students learn the strategy used to cope with this problem. There are other skills like home visit, building a relationship with the client, protecting confidentiality, developing attitude skills, developing attending skills. These are two types attending skills: non-verbal attending and verbal attending skills. So the fieldwork practicum with communities. Practicum in the communities, problem, because as we know that some problems cannot be solved with the micro and meso social work. They need to be broader approach that tackles social policy, organizational change, or community organization. It is also called macro social work. So the learners here, understanding the importance of people participation in implementing the intervention is planned through community organization. The process of community organization include induction into the community, need assessment, intervention, and skills required for social work, action skills, communication skills, and skills for program development, implementation, evaluation, fundraising, coalition, plan change techniques, etc. And also macro level advocacy, community analysis, inter-organizational planning, leadership development, etc. And so we can conclude here by saying that fieldwork practicum with individual, family, and community is essential for theoretical understanding, and it is important to learn the basic skills like interviewing, attending, listening while working with individuals and family. However, they are important in all social work settings, including community. Specific skills used in family setting are assessing relationship, application of therapies, and goal settings. This would equip our students to undertake family counseling while handling a joint as well as an individual session depending on the situation. So learner, here we conclude our sessions, and you for more detail you may collect the information from E-Gyan Kosh, IGNOU. Dhanyavad. Thank you.